Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promised glade, the hill we climb, if only we dare it, because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. And this effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So, while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be, a country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain: if we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the gold-limbed hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast, where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover in every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country. Our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it. For there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
That was, of course, Amanda Gorman, who was the first, the youngest ever inaugural poet laureate for the U.S. inauguration. It is indeed a message of hope for North America and the world. Moving on, bienvenidos. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende. I am Phyllis Culp, and I want to thank all members, friends, and guests for being part of our liberal religious community this morning. Our faith tradition is diverse, inclusive, and multicultural, and we are so much richer for each person's presence and participation. If you don't have an order of service this morning, you can quickly go to uufsma.org and get one. I'd like to call your attention to one special announcement in particular. Next Sunday, we will be having a very special joint service with another UU church, First Parish of Stowe and Acton, where our own wonderful minister, Reverend Tom Rosiello, is Minister Emeritus. It is important to remember that our service will begin at 10 o'clock Central instead of our usual 10:30 time. Today, Ezequiel Mojica Galvan is going to speak about 2021, There is Hope in Mexico. Ezequiel is an extraordinary man who has reached out and lifted some of our most marginalized communities, and through the promotion of small loans, entrepreneurship, and education. He is the founder of Apoyo para Gente Emprendedora, which translates to support for entrepreneurial people. It is truly impressive how he and his board have embraced working with other NGOs in our area and way beyond to strengthen each other and offer a variety of small business loan services, financial education, and community building in general. I think his talk will be informative and thought-provoking. We also have music today from Yoremem, Jacobi, and Almitri, Tzigane, San Miguel musicians who always fill our hearts. And now to Bonney for our COVID task force report.
Good morning. I'm Bonney McDowell, a member of the Fellowship's Board and of our COVID-19 task force. I add my welcome to all of you joining us today, wherever you are. The task force is a group of medical professionals and care team members with expertise we hope will be helpful for you during this pandemic. We want to share some thoughts today about vaccines. But first, a vaccine question. Have you had your flu shot? It's very important, and it's not too late in the flu season, which usually peaks in February or March. If you're in San Miguel, check with your doctor about availability. Next, the COVID-19 vaccines. They are creeping their way into availability. It's very variable depending on your location. The mRNA technology in some of these vaccines is a terrific leap forward. No virus ever enters your body, just a short set of instructions so your muscle cells can make a fragment of the virus, the little spike on the surface. These fragments are enough to trigger your body to make antibodies, and meanwhile, that little instruction, the mRNA, just disintegrates. The whole process never goes near your DNA, and all our science so far indicates that this is a very safe technique. Other vaccines, including the Chinese vaccine, which is planned for use in Mexico when it gets approved, use different but very well-tested technologies to get similar results. Vaccines are amazing. And we know that some folks in San Miguel are planning to travel north to get vaccinated. A few reminders about that. Travel itself is a risk, especially by air. As you know, all international travelers should assume they have become infected during travel, even if they have no symptoms, and realize that they now pose a risk to others for the next 14 days. The CDC has specific advice about how long to quarantine and when to get tested after travel. We'll put the details of that in the newsletter. Are these legal requirements? No. They're medical advice. They're public health recommendations. Do our UU principles suggest that these steps are the right actions to take? Yes, they certainly do. Remember, people without symptoms are the source of as much as half of all COVID-19 transmission. I imagine many of us watched the inauguration this week. Did you have any COVID-related thoughts during the event? I did. Many things were done very carefully, and then our leaders mingled and socialized without distance precautions. I sure hope the wind was blowing strong enough to protect them. Did you notice that some people were wearing double masks? That was good. Please, use the best masks you can during this time when the more contagious variants are spreading. N95s if you can. One thing you could also do is make all your interactions shorter and more distant. Nothing about this is fun, but we really need to keep doing it. So stay strong and stay safe, my friends. And now back to Phyllis.
We are now in the second week of the Unitarian Universalist Association's 30 Days of Love programs, which run from approximately Martin Luther King Day through Valentine's Day. A full month between two great days of love to encourage inclusiveness and equality by stressing our UU principles and our work towards building a society where the color of our skin, the conditions of our birth, whom we love, how we worship, and how we express our gender do not determine our worth, rights, or opportunities. Let me quote a few of the very recent words of UUA President Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. She says, "I am inspired by the ways we are growing our capacity for risk, for solidarity, and for community care. We have made a huge difference this year in the lives of our neighbors, in the care and protection of our communities, and in the strength of our democracy. This remains to me a source of hope and strength and joy. We are resilient. We have everything we need. We are enough. Love will continue to guide us. Blessings to you all, your loved ones and communities." Today, we are affirming the power of community. We all have many communities which share the same interest or passion, communities brought together by geographic boundaries or by external events and situations, communities of workmates, communities of learning, and communities trying to bring about change. Our community involvements change over time. We may not identify as strongly as we once did with past work groups, old neighborhoods, school experiences, or the many events in our past. But all these, as well as our current communities, remain linked to us in the same way our principles link us to believing in the inherent worth and dignity of every person and in having respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. The sure thing about our various communities is that through sharing our stories, our experiences, and our aspirations, they offer hope for a better future, opportunities to learn from our own efforts and from others, and provide the power to make a difference. I'm going to light our chalice for the power and spirit of community. Let me repeat just a few of Reverend Susan's words. We are resilient. We have everything we need. We are enough. Love will continue to guide us. I'm lighting. Blessed be. And now join me in singing hymn 121, We'll Build a Land. The words will appear on your screen in just a moment. And now we'll share in reciting our covenant, both in English and Spanish. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente. y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
We are the ones, we've been waiting. 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 We are the ones, we've been waiting.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Tom Rosiello, the minister of this fellowship, and it's wonderful to be back with you again this morning. I want to remind you, particularly at this time when many of us are facing more challenges, that if you need the support or the help from me as minister or from our care team, it's there for you. And please don't hesitate to contact us. The information on how to do so is on the website. And now we enter into a very sacred time in our service, a time when members and friends share significant joys and concerns that they are experiencing with their community. As we share each one, we light a candle to signify that that person or that thought or that prayer is indeed present among all of us this morning. If you have a joy, sorrow, or concern that you'd like to have shared in one of our services, please email it to me. If you have something that you wish to share today but have not sent it in, you may type it into the chat now. And now to our candles. This first candle is lit by Kate Greenaway, who writes, I have both a concern and a joy. Deep concern and ongoing worry that Dr. Diego, a local doctor currently struggling for his life in a Lyon hospital, and a huge joy for the amazing response from the San Miguel community. The money raised has secured what we hope will be a full course of life-saving treatment. With this next candle, we remember Diana Amaya's uncle Fernando, who passed away this week of COVID. And we also express our support and sympathy to Diana and her family. Her uncle Fernando was only 55 years old. Diana writes, my relief is that he's not suffering anymore. My grief is for the ones left behind, especially my father, my uncle's wife, son, and daughter. I really wish this terrible disease ends soon. Linda Soren lights our next candle, writing, with great sadness, I report the passing of Dr. Ariel Ballenas, MD. He was an acupuncturist trained in China and also a Western medical doctor, a kind, caring, compassionate human being. Linda Soren also asks us to light another candle with prayers and get well wishes for Dr. Maxwell, who cares for many in our community. We light this candle as one of support and get well wishes and prayers for those in the fellowships who presently have COVID and who are on the road to a full recovery. Bill Wilkinson, Christy McHugh and her husband Bob, Hugh Tomlinson, one of our new members, and his partner Jesus, and our own Diego Vargas, who has hardly missed a beat during his encounter with COVID. And anyone else whose name I have not mentioned, but you wish to add in your thoughts at this time. This candle of remembrance and gratitude comes from John Simsarian, and I know captures the thoughts of many, many of us. John wrote, it has been a year since John Sievert's death. He was a kind and caring person, and it is a sorrow that we lost him. However, it is a joy to think about his enthusiasm for life and all the contributions he made to our fellowship. Among other things, he was on the board of directors for years, served as president, was a member of the Social Action Committee and Sunday Service Committee, and coordinated many guest musicians. He was always willing to step up and help. At the time of his death, he was coordinating the production of the Tom Paxton concert for the benefit of the fellowship in order to raise money for Caminos Juntos. We miss his presence, but cherish his memory. Our next two candles represent the collected thoughts, prayers, and hopes that have come from many of you. This first one is our fervent hope for a ramping up of the virus vaccine delivery both in Mexico and the US and also in Canada, so that everyone can develop immunity to this devastating disease as soon as possible. And it's also a candle of gratitude for all those who are doing the work to make this possible, for nurses and doctors and truck drivers and manufacturing workers and scientists and public health officials. The second of the two candles is one of inauguration hope, one of hope for a better America ahead with a new president and vice president. Hope for good and honest and caring leadership and for an America less divided where everyone works for the common good. And this final candle is for all those joys, sorrows, and concerns held deep in our hearts, but which remain unspoken this morning. There is much for us to hold in our hearts this morning. Let us take all these thoughts, these prayers, these aspirations into a moment of silence, reaching out with our hearts to those who need our support, resolving to do all that we can to comfort, support, and assist those in our community that need our help. As the new President of the United States said in his inaugural address, "Here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days when you need a hand, there are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. This is what we do for one another." Indeed, that is what we do for each other in the fellowship. Let us resolve now in this time of silence to be fully part of that tradition, where sometimes we need the blessing of others, and sometimes we are the blessing. Amen. And now we continue in our reflection with Yoremem Jacobi performing La Llorona.
Hello, my name is Yoremem Jacobi. I'm very happy to sing for you again. I will to sing a Mexican traditional song, La Llorona. Dicen que no tengo duelo, llorona, porque no me ven llorar. Dicen que no tengo duelo, llorona, porque no me ven llorar. Hay muertos que no hacen ruido, llorona, y es más grande es tu pena. Hay muertos que no hacen ruido y es más grande su pena. llorona, llorona, llévame al río. Tápame con tu rebozo, llorona, porque me muero de frío. Tápame con tu rebozo, porque me muero de frío.
And now it's our time for generosity. Eric Walker Wickstrom said, "The Lord loves a cheerful giver, yet will accept from a grouch as well." We encourage cheerful givers, as well as those others, to look into their hearts and see what is available there. How much love, how much generosity, how much faith, how much gratitude, how much hope. Let us take our offering from that account. For the gifts which we will receive, and for the gifts which we ourselves are, may we be truly grateful. May we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world, to increase love and justice, to decrease hatred and oppression, to expand beloved community, to help educate our young, to promote nutrition and good health, to suppress poverty, to promote sustainability, and to share and to keep sharing as long as ever we can. Amen. We'll pause for a minute here during our hymn, "From You I Receive, to You I Give," for you to connect to our donation link. You can see the chat box or go to uufsma.org, where you can use a debit or credit card or PayPal. After the hymn, we'll hear from one of our very favorite local gypsy jazz guitarists, Almitri Tzigane, performing Joseph, Joseph. Finally, after Almitri's music, we'll hear our speaker, Ezequiel Mojica Galvan, talking about 2021, There is Hope in Mexico.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Music always elevates our spirit and soul. And thank you very much for this wonderful music. Thank you for having me here. It is my pleasure and my honor for me to be here. First of all, I want to apologize for my English. My English is not good enough. I am a self-taught person, but I will try to be clear. Besides my language, besides uh, my English, last night I was with my wife in my home, and I remember that in our rehearsal, in our preparation meeting for this meeting, I was told, do not forget to mute your microphone before speaking. So I was really nervous, and I was repeating to myself, don't forget to mute your microphone. Don't forget to mute your microphone before speaking. So suddenly I realized it, and I thought, and I wondered, hey, wait a minute. What do not forget to mute your microphone means? Because so I started laughing and I started smiling, and my wife did ask me, hey, what are you laughing at? What are you thinking of? What are you smiling? So I just give her a hug, an abrazo, and told her I was just smiling, and we need more laughing, we need more smiles in our lives, especially in these times. So I came back to my talk today about how much do we need in these times. Hope, smiling, laughing. Although we know we are living in these difficult times, in Mexico, in my experience working with a lot of Mexican people, I have seen that despite the problems, the flame of hope is still alive. Despite the dark of the night, our world is painted in colors, and I can feel it. We all know we are living in these challenging and uncertain times. Today, as we know, we are facing a great worldwide threat to our health and our economic stability, which we fully expected and impact, especially in the most vulnerable communities. I work every day with Mexican people, most of them in rural areas, most of them in low-income neighborhoods, and I know how they feel, and I know how they think, and believe me, we have had difficult years in Mexico. Most of the population in Mexico live under the poverty line. We estimate that at least 44% of the population in Mexico lives under the poverty. So can you imagine the impact we have had with this pandemic? And although I don't like and I don't want to talk about politics, but we all know we are connected. No, now we have affection. We are circumstances that are affecting our lives: the economy, the pandemic, the political aspect. So in Mexico, we have lived, especially these last 4 years, an uncertainty. When we 4 years ago, when we did see in the newspaper, in the news, someone saying that we were sending people that have a lot of problems, and we are bringing those problems to the U.S., and we are bringing drugs and bringing crime, and we are rapists. It was insulting for our lives. And the nightmare started because I have relatives in the US. I have a lot of friends, hardworking people living in the US, and they were living in this uncertainty. They were afraid of being deported, of being in jail, or even worse, being separated from their families. So that is why we started this kind of nightmare 4 years ago. And now with the pandemic, we are, I'm sorry, we are losing our grandparents, our friends, our neighbors. So the scenario was not the most optimistic for us, especially in Mexico. But now I have seen there is hope in Mexico. Although we have had a very, very difficult year in 2020, I have seen this flame of hope growing in Mexico. Yesterday, when I watching the news, I saw that almost 600,000 people in Mexico have gotten the vaccine. I understand it has been really slow. I understand we have our health system was broken. I understand it will take time. But now I have seen we have started with these baby steps, little by little. And now in Mexico, I have seen this perception of hope. Although we had a very difficult year the last one, I have seen when we started 2021, many families, they had hope. Now, with the new president in the White House, hope is growing in Mexico. I am confident on that. We are doing our work in Mexico with our family, with our families, with our relatives, working really hard, taking care of ourselves. But we understand we are connected. And now with this new administration in the US, we expect better policies for the asylum seekers, for the migrants in general, for the DACA program, for our dreamers, for all the undocumented people who lives and works in the US, and they are helping the US to grow. We have faith, and we hope with this new president, the things are going to change. So the hope, the flame of hope is alive in Mexico. With the pandemic, although I have seen many articles in the news that we have been irresponsible, this is not true. I work with people and I have seen they are doing their best to take care of themselves. But remember, it is easy for us. We have the privilege of staying home, secure, safe. But there are a lot of people out there with no income these days. So they have to go out to work, to fight against the poverty by working. So they cannot stay at home. They have to go out. And they are afraid. But they say, I have been visiting several rural villages, and they say, if I stay home, I am not going to die by COVID, but maybe I am going to die by being hungry. So this is a difficult dilemma for a lot of Mexican people. And when we see them in the streets, many of them, they are just looking for an opportunity to make some income. So I am always posting on Facebook or in our social media to have an empathy, to be empathetic with the others, to show compassion, to show understanding, because many families, as I told you, the 50% of the population live in poverty. So we need to be empathetic with them and understanding. And I think we can build a better future having this empathy with the others. That is why in Mexico, I am glad to say that many people, we are taking care of ourselves. I have seen grandmothers on the streets. I have seen the elderly wearing just a piece of fabric as a waist mask, and they are doing it. They are doing their best to take care of each other. That is why I wanted to talk to you today about this hope. Many times people, especially the expat, they ask me, how are you living these times in Mexico? And I told them, it has been difficult, yes, but Mexico, it is a strong country. And I think if we work together, continue building this community here in San Miguel with all of you, the American, Canadians, the European residents, joining forces with us, hardworking people, loyal people, we can continue, we can make it, we can overcome this difficult situation. I am confident of that. And talking as a country, if we are better neighbors, Canada, the US, and Mexico, we have a huge opportunity to grow and make our lives better. I am really grateful with you, the UU. I am really grateful with the different organizations I am working with Caminamos Juntos, with Feed the Hungry, with Amigos al Cien. They were providing food during the most critical phase of the pandemic, and we are really proud of that. And I want you to let you know that Mexican people, we really love you. It is time to talk about love. We love you because we have built this community all together. And today, I want to tell you that once again, despite the problems in Mexico, the flame of hope is still alive. Despite the dark of the night, our world is painted in colors. And today, I would like to invite you to sing this popular song, The Colores, which reflect the joy of living. And I am confident we will be better today. And we are sending our blessing to all those people, the Dr. Diego, to all those people who are in the hospital. And we have faith in God, we have faith in ourselves, we have faith in our medical personnel, we have faith in our own strength as a country, as a humanity, and we will be fine soon. Thank you very much, and blessings to all of you. And now, let's all join together to sing The Colores.
De colores
That was terrific and inspiring. Thank you, Ezekiel. We will be most happy if you will join us after the service for a short discussion in small breakout groups. You will be invited to join, and we hope you will accept the invitation. If you are new to our fellowship and would like to chat with our minister, Reverend Tom Rosiello, just stay put. And remember, next week's joint service with First Parish of Stowe and Acton at 10 a.m. That's a half hour earlier than we usually meet. Let us now consider these thoughts as we extinguish our chalice light, but not the lights within us. When we build powerful community with love, we recognize the common threads in the justice struggles of marginalized communities and remain steadfast in our work to support these communities. Through our collective commitment to justice, we will live our faith in a better world. We will do it with patience, with hope, and with conviction that our collective love is far more powerful than fear. Indeed, far more powerful than anything else in the world. We will exemplify the values of inclusion, diversity, community, and equality. Let it be so.